Yeah, I can talk about prisons and jails all day long. I just don't want to work in them all day long. But we're passing through Georgetown, Texas. I used to work in that jail, Wisdom County Jail. But I started out my career in correction law enforcement back in 1994. And I said 94 because I worked a private security job. And people probably say, well, that's not law enforcement. Well, it's private security. And security is very important. People always look down on people that work security and make fun of them, call them runner cops. But they provide a service. If you pay people well to provide a service at a high level, then private security is a great career to have. You think about private investigators, which is a different license. I believe that's a level 2 license, but you can look that up yourself. You got private security, alarm service, guard service, guard dogs. So all that falls under the private security or Texas Department of, I think, private security. Before I started working at, I believe it was Burns International. I worked private security, and then I worked private security. I even worked for Pinkerton, and I remember their symbol was an eyeball and a private eye. And Pinkerton, you can look that up. This is a good history lesson too. Pinkerton was one of the top security people back in the old West. Called Frank and Jesse James, the outlaws. You know, he was looking for them and searching for them, and he caught them. And that was private security. Back in the old West days, you had law enforcement, but you also had the law of the West, where people had their own hired gunmen. So it's private security is not necessarily something we should look down on or frown upon. It's just who gets the most hype and the best PR. And I'm talking about public relations and how you market it. So I went from private security to working for, I ended up moving back to the New Waverly area. Got me a job at working juvenile detention in Montgomery County, Conroe, Texas. And prior to that, I did some work at the DA's office, kind of like a little summer intern, and that turned into, I met a couple people who eventually hired me to work juvenile detention. And I told y'all about the time one of the kids escaped, and one of the probation officers and I had to basically run him down, and the people in the neighborhood saw us running him down, and I jumped on him. Not jumped on like to beat him up, I'm saying grabbed him and restrained him. And some of the people in that neighborhood thought we were these two black guys beating up this white kid. We had no uniforms on. I don't know why at the time it didn't require us to have uniform. We wore regular clothes. I mean, I was sharp. I think I had on some Cavaliers. Y'all can look that up later in something I don't know. I was sharp. And when I had on the vest, no shirt on it. How cool. Anyway, so we caught this guy, and some of the people started coming out of their house, and one lady came by with a broom, and they was yelling, "What are y'all doing to that kid?" Some guy, he pulled over. "What are y'all doing? Y'all let him go." I mean, it was like a mob almost had surrounded us. And I guess somebody called the sheriff's office and said 2 black guys are beating up on this kid. And they showed up. And when they got there, they knew the probation officer. And was like, no, he escaped. And so they put him in the car. And then the people started, all right. Yeah, y'all was gonna whoop our way. So what's important you learn there? It's important to, when you're in law enforcement or anything concerning law enforcement or any job you do, identify yourself, have an identified uniform. And I learned that in private security. You have to have a uniform. Each person had to have on a badge, and you have to be identified with that you are private security. So that's something juvenile detention, which is a government agency, should have known. Let's make sure our officers, our detention staff have uniforms and a badge. So private security was ahead of them at that time, that particular agency. So from there, I got a job at the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, TDCJ, at the prison. And growing up in New Waverly, Huntsville, that's something I never wanted to do. You know, kids never, they always talk about, well, I'm gonna grow up and move away and become this and that. And I never want to do that job. But as a matter of fact, I had studied those things when I was a kid, you know, reading about some of the infamous people on death row. And I was actually interested in it, but I said at the time I was never going to do that. So I ended up getting a job there, which was a long process. Trained in Beeville, Texas, for 12 days. At that time, they thought that was a whole bunch. 12 days of misery. It was 264 of us in that graduating class at Beeville, Texas. I think it was called 95 something, which was 1995 then. And about 264 people. And we went to different units over there in the state. We didn't all go to the same prison. I was sent to go work at Ellis 1. Ended up on the night shift, 10 to 6. Hated it. So eventually I put in for death row, which was housed at Ellis 1 at the time, because I wanted to work death row. I had read a lot of books about some of the infamous people on death row. And eventually I got transferred down the hall to death row. And it was dirty and dingy down there, as most of the prison was dirty and dingy anyway, but that was darker and more dingy. And so a lot of the people that I had read about, you know, in the past, a lot of those inmates, people sentenced to die. You think they'd be just violent all the time? Some of them were not violent. They have regular conversations with you. Henry Lee Lucas, who was infamous serial killer. He's very in the Georgetown area. They used to talk about him when I worked there, and I'll get to that in a minute. But he's people thought he had killed. You can look this up later. I think they call her Pink Socks. There was a lady, that body they found, and the lady had on pink socks, and they never figure out who she was. I think a couple months ago they finally figured out, this is years later, they finally figured out who she was. But Henry Lee Lucas, they believe that he killed her. Kenneth Allen McDuff, I saw him, I don't want to say met him, but he was there on death row. I'm gonna tell you about him real quick. He killed this, he was a serial killer too, but he was released. Y'all still with me? He was released, and he killed this girl in Austin. That's why he stood out to me, because I had lived in Austin from 90 to 92 before I moved back home and got the job, you know, working there. So he killed this girl named Colleen Reed, young girl, you know, I guess early 20s. And she went to wash her car one night, and him and his buddy, they killed her. So he ended up, yeah, terrible. You can look her up, you know, beautiful young lady, and killed her. And I remember, I think eventually he told them years later where he put the body at. Something like that. You have to look that up.